Clock's what, 2 minutes off?
Call to order the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners on Monday, November 25th, 2019 at 6 o'clock. As always, we'll start off our invocation. I'll ask Commissioner Mendenhall to lead us in.
Join me if you please. Almighty Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this evening. Lord, we thank you for the group that has come out this afternoon to hear our meeting. And Lord, we also pray for the ones who are at home watching us on YouTube tonight. Father, we pray that you will give us guidance and wisdom as we go through our decision-making process tonight. Be with each and every commissioner and all the people in the audience. All of these things we ask in our precious name. Amen.
Amen. Please continue standing for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start off with our approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. We'll move on now to our comments from the Commissioner and Manager, and start with Commissioner Morris.
Just welcome everybody. It's good to see you here tonight and wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Vice Chairman Walker.
Short and sweet. I think all of you was part of Commissioner Morris's time. I had a request today for a 30-minute meeting this evening. Is that achievable?
I thought you said 20.
Well, maybe. But then realistically, an hour was suggested. Had a good occasion today, the ribbon cutting for our trade center at Forsyth Tech. Very nice facility. And it's nice to, it's encouraging to see things work the way we hope for them to. And that was a need that we've had in our county for a good while, for more opportunities for young folks to learn a trade. Everybody is not 4-year or more college material, and you can earn a good living by being good in a trade. There's about I think there's 4 trades, is that right, will be taught in the new facility?
Yep.
And what is it, plumbing, electrical?
Welding.
Welding and horticulture.
Well,
Yeah. Nice opportunities for folks to learn something that can really be useful for them. Another event that happened recently was the Chamber Business Leader of the Year, the Chamber Banquet, and had a lady from Walnut Cove be recognized as our Business Leader of the Year. Thought that was good. That kind of shows that the Chamber's reaching beyond just the King area and including more of the county. Was very pleased that things worked out that way. It's always a nice event. I thought it was somehow a little smoother and more enjoyable this year than some previous years. But anyway, good to see all of you here as usual. We got a little different mix of folks this evening, and some familiar faces and one or two that are not as familiar. But glad you're here and hope you'll find your time well spent by being here with us this evening. I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman, unless you want me to keep going.
That's all we got. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Yance.
Yeah, I'd like to also welcome everyone tonight. Wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, blessed Thanksgiving. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mendenhall.
I don't have much to add to that, but thank you for coming out. It's a beautiful afternoon or early evening hours, and just say to each one of you that we appreciate you. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come to this meeting, and I also want to wish each of you a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for coming out tonight and those watching live. Hope you find your time spent well here. I appreciate you coming out. And definitely hope everybody has a good Turkey Day there. And with that, I'll pass it on to our county manager.
Chairman, Shannon and I have attended 2 DARE programs in our schools with our 5th graders, and which is always a great thing because they are going through learning what not to do and how to promise they will not do things. But that's wonderful. So if go on to the website of the Sheriff's Department, and you'll see several more that's coming up for the month of December. You can attend those. They're very, very good for our kids. And I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a blessed day.
Thank you, sir. And we have no one who has signed up for public comments. With that, we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve consent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Move on now to our information agenda. Item A is the 2019 fiscal year audit. I believe we'll get Julia, if you don't mind, to speak first on this.
Kelly Gooderham, manager of CPA with Martin and Starnes, is here to present the 2019 annual audit presentation. It will be submitted this week to the LGC. It has not been approved by them yet, so that's the reason you don't have a hard copy in front of you. But as soon as that is approved by them and I get it, I will be giving it to the board. And I like to, in my memo to the board, I put that we use $1,947,147 of the $3,351,555,000 that was appropriated from fund balance. And the unassigned fund balance is $11,194,414, or 29.73% for general fund only. And at this time, I will have Kelly to come up and present the audit.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we've prepared the following PowerPoint to present what we feel to be the more pertinent facts of the county's fiscal year. The county's report, as Julia said, has not been submitted or approved, but will be sometime this week. We are planning to issue with a clean, unmodified opinion, which is the cleanest opinion that we can give. And we've been fortunate enough to work with the fine folks in finance who have been very cooperative and helpful during the entire audit process. This slide shows the different fund balance classifications. We'll start with the non-spendable or inventory at $65,000. Total restricted fund balance for the general fund is $7.2 million. For stabilization by state statute, which is your restricted fund balance, we have $2.7 million. And all others, totaling $4.4 million, includes your mental health at a little less than $14,000, health department at $290,000, school current expense at $54,000, and debt service at $4 million. This slide shows a 3-year comparison of general fund total fund balance. For fiscal year 19, general fund balance ended at $22.5 million, which was a $2.1 million decrease over the prior year, or 9%. And this slide actually does include all funds within the general fund, such as your debt service fund and your health department fund. This slide calculates or shows you how to calculate your available fund balance. So we start with your total fund balance of $22 million, less your non-spendable of $65,000, less your stabilization by state statute at $2.7 million, to arrive at your available fund balance at $19.7 million, which was an overall decrease over the prior year of $2.1 million. Available fund balance as a percentage of expenditures and transfers within the general fund was 39% for current fiscal year. LGC uses this calculation as a comparison for other funds or for other units across the state. They suggest that around 8% equates to about 1 month worth of expenditures for within the general fund. So as you can see from this slide, the county currently had, at the end of 6/30/19, roughly 5 months worth of expenditures on hand. This is just another comparison of Stokes County with other counties of similar size between the $25,000 and $50,000 population group. As you can see, Stokes is a little bit higher than the population group and higher than statewide, of course. This is your available fund balance calculation. And this is a snapshot of the general fund overall results, excluding all other consolidated funds from the general fund. Revenues over the prior year decreased around 11 million or 26%. Expenditures decreased about 15 million or 30%. The decrease in revenues was primarily due to ad valorem tax revenue decrease, which was also because of the school current expense fund being separated from the general fund. So on the front schedules of the audit report, there are several other funds that are consolidated into the general fund, and this is just the general fund. And so that's why you see such a decrease in your revenues, is because that school current expense is no longer included in that. Similarly, your decrease in expenditures was primarily due to a decrease in education expenditures. So as mentioned, you have a decrease in ad valorem tax revenues from 2018 to 2019 of around 11.7 million or 48%, which again was because of the separation of the school current expense fund, because you can see the 2017 and 2018 were fairly comparable. Intergovernmental revenues increased around 357,000 or a little less than 5%, which was due to an increase in unrestricted intergovernmental revenue for the Medicaid Release Hold Harmless distribution. And then sales and services decreased around 421,000 or 13%, which was primarily due to a decrease in ambulance fees in the current year. Other taxes and licenses increased around 346,000 or 5%, which was primarily due to a local option sales tax distribution increase. Now we'll go through the top expenditures within the general fund. Human services increased around 387,000 or 5%, which was primarily due to an increase in salaries from 5 new staff members being hired in social services. Public safety increased around 839,000 or a little less than 8%, which was primarily due to a purchase of an ambulance and increased salaries in the current year. And education decreased 11 million, mostly due to the school current expense fund being separated from the general fund. Again, this does not include the other school current expense fund. It just includes general fund. The general government expenses increased around 800,000 or 16% due to the purchase of public buildings in the current year. And that is all. Is there any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. Does anybody on the board have a question? Commissioner Morse.
Thanks for coming. Good presentation.
Thank you.
I have one quick question. Did you dig into the internal controls pretty good, and was everything look okay there?
As far as we could tell from our procedures, everything looked to be in line from what we could tell.
Okay, great. No findings?
Not related to financial. There were a couple of findings for DSS, for the programs that we tested.
Oh, okay. Then they'll take corrective action.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And there's no issue with the timing of LGC approving this or anything, right?
There is not. As long as we issue the report by 12/1 is the deadline. And so because of the holidays, we actually have to submit it by Wednesday in order to meet the deadline. And there should be no problem whatsoever with I believe we should be able to submit it tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Any other questions?
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions?
Just a brief comment, Mr. Chairman. It sounds like things went very smooth this year.
I would agree with that.
We're getting somewhat used to that. We are having good audits, following good audits, and have a nice trend. And usually Julia and her staff commend you folks for working well with them, and I would also think they work well with you. So
I would definitely agree with that. We definitely could not get the audit done as quickly as we can and as well as we can and cleanly without the help of Julia and Lisa and everybody. And they really are a pleasure to work with. They're very helpful. They're very cooperative because we tend to ask a lot of questions and have a lot of requests. And they're very wonderful to work with.
that's very encouraging, very good to hear. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, thank you. Any more questions or comments? Okay.
I'd just like to say thank you also, and Julia, thank your entire department for the good work you do. We appreciate it so much. And it seems like that, from what I'm hearing, everything went real well this time. Nothing that you see that's inappropriate or anything.
You are correct.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Julia.
Ms. Gooderham, thank you for coming out here tonight, joining this presentation. With that, we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
We'll move on to item B, the Northwestern Regional Library presentation. And I said we got some different reps from different libraries, but I believe Ms. Joan.
Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Yeah, it's nice to see you. I know everybody's ready for Thanksgiving here, so I'll try to keep this really short. Just really wanted to thank you all for your support again this past year and your continued support for the 3 very fine Stokes County public libraries. You know what kind of great libraries you have in this county and the wonderful staff that is here too. So thank you, and particularly appreciate the support for year 1 of the salary study to implement it, to get the salary for these fine folks up to salaries in comparable counties too. So thank you very, very much. As a result of that, we have, I think you got something in your packets that look like this, and I'm not going to read it to you, I promise, but just a couple highlights. These are how libraries measure themselves. You know, we don't have a bottom line in terms of money, but these are the statistics that we use and that the state library requires that we send in. And just real briefly, you can see the digital collection use, and that's for the whole region. The numbers of patrons or users or customers, whichever you want to call them, the numbers of people who visit the Stokes County libraries, the numbers of programs the libraries have, the internet sessions, because of course computers are a big part of it, the summer reading program attendance, which is a big part of the libraries, the numbers of questions answered at the library, because people do ask a lot of questions at the library, and we're glad they come, and then the items circulated or that checked out, which include books and AV and that type of thing. Just wanted to comment on a couple things. Overall in the region, we were really glad to see in the whole regional system that circulation of books and AV went up this year, and we're really glad to see that, because people say, are people still reading? Are people still using libraries? And they are. It went up about 2.5%, which is really pretty good. Overall, the circulation, including electronic resources, increased 11%. So it's all going in a really good direction. And again, we all know that more and more people are using wireless devices or using their own devices. In addition to that, we're really glad to have student access in Stokes County, so that the students, and I think we talked to you all about this earlier, the students can use their student number to access the catalog and NC Life databases, and that's really paying off. We have a lot of response from students in Stokes County and other counties using that. We're really glad. Anyway, we can remove barriers from people using libraries and resources. We want to do that to make it easier. So we were really pleased to see those results. In Stokes County specifically, circulation did go up in the county, which is great. And again, a great reflection on this great staff here. Also, about 49% of the population of Stokes County has active library cards, which is really good. We want to get that up, hit 50% and over, but I think that's a pretty good percentage. Also, the numbers of programs we've had fewer programs, but we've had more people attend, which is good because we're trying to focus those programs. And also, it's affected by the fact that the summer was really short this year. You know, it was a very short summer, but we have more people coming, which is fantastic. And last but not least is Stokes County had the highest number of questions asked of any of our 4 counties, which is nice. So you have very inquisitive people here, people with a lot of questions, or people who know they can come to the library and get questions answered. So we're really glad to hear about all that. In other initiatives, we have the Northwestern Regional Library. All of our libraries have added launch pads this year, and they're so much fun. They're tablets for kids, and they have age-appropriate information or programs and software on them, and they're really popular, and we're letting kids use them in the library or check them out. We're really glad to add that. I think they're really popular with kids and the parents, too. And on another front, we are very happy that the Northwestern Regional Library celebrates 60 years. We were just amazed when we stopped and thought about that. And Stokes County, the Danbury Library, is one of the charter members of the regional library system. The county seats of Surrey, Stokes, and Allegheny were the original ones. So you have one of the original libraries here, and we really believe so strongly in the system in providing more services for everybody and also more bang for the buck for the taxpayers' money, too. And we really believe that we can deliver that so you get a pretty good return on the money that you invest in us. You see on the sheet that you got, a little slogan that says Libraries Transform Lives, and that's something that our library systems are participating in this year. It's a national campaign, it's a multi-year campaign because we really believe that's true. We believe that libraries transform lives and as well as communities and vice versa. What happens in communities transforms us as well. We have a great campaign, and some of you may have seen it with some because statements, and one of them is because everything on the internet's not true, and we all know that's true, so we hope people can come to the library to get accurate information. That is really all that I wanted to say this evening. I want to thank you again and wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. And these wonderful people over here, Christine Bowles and Chelsea Russell from the Walnut Cove Library, and Lisa Lawless from Danbury. Ann Nichols, that you all know, could not make it tonight. She's actually on vacation, but she wants to invite you all to the open house in King, and I believe you have an invitation in your packets. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing very well tonight. Just want to make this very short and sweet. You should all have a flyer here in your packets from the Walnut Cove Public Library, just kind of showing some goals and some ongoing projects we have right now. We are changing some things in Walnut Cove right now, trying to work towards helping more of our adults who are coming in, who are needing jobs. We're starting to work more on some computer literacy classes for them. And one thing that I'm very excited about is our family gardening club. This is going to be a first for us come springtime at Walnut Cove. That's something I'm very excited about. But the thing about it is, I would not be able to do this at Walnut Cove without this young lady here. This is our new assistant branch manager. Her name is Chelsea Russell. She is a longtime resident of Walnut Cove, and I am very excited to have her working with me now, and I hope that you will be seeing quite a bit of her, and we invite you all to come down, come stop by the library, and see how things are changing. We are very excited about how things are going there, and we appreciate your support very much, and we wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and look forward to seeing all of you, and thank you all very much for the support that you provide to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey y'all, I'm Lisa, just down the hill from you guys over at the library. The last time I saw you, I was talking about a history book we were putting together called Stokes Lore, and I'm happy to say it is done, and I have a copy for each of you to take home. If anybody else wants one, we're selling them. It's not a for-profit thing. We're selling for the cost of the printing, which is $22.85. And if anyone wants to round up to $25, just to make it easier in the checkbook, then we're going to donate the remainder to the domestic violence of Stokes County, because it is the 90th year of the Lawson murders this Christmas. So we just wanted to acknowledge that. I hope that you will take it home and look over it and maybe share it with your family. And if you would like to get some stories, we're going to do a volume 2. So just think about it over Thanksgiving if you guys might like to participate. I'm going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is this our early Christmas present here?
There you go.
Chairman, I have one question for Joan before we.
Go ahead, Commissioner Morris.
Hey, Joan, I have one quick question. Do you guys either keep statistics or encounter very often adults who are not able to read and write?
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, and I know the Buffalo Creek Literacy Council works a lot with adults who are non-readers. And I know Christine works very closely with Jeff on that project, and there's been a lot of tutoring going on. And yes, we do, and we certainly either try to help them or refer them to people who can provide more assistance.
Yeah, that was really my question, is if you encounter those kind of folks,
excuse me, I'm sorry.
what should they do to learn to read and write? Or how easy is it to get the resources to do that?
Well, again, I think the Buffalo Literacy Council is really well equipped to help people to gain literacy skills. And I know that the community colleges, too, also have really good programs for people. But Christine, do you want to talk a little bit more about the Buffalo Creek literacy?
Yes. Usually when we encounter a situation like that, the first thing that I do is make sure that we refer them to Jeff Pratt, who is chair of the Buffalo Creek Literacy Project. He is also one of our board chairs at the Walnut Cove Public Library. So the first thing that I do is get in touch with him and get that person's contact information to him, because he is very well equipped at handling situations with adult learners to be able to begin that process of learning how to read. And he has worked with many, many adults throughout the years at the Walnut Cove Public Library who literally went from signing their name as a straight line to actually being able to read, write on a adult level, and to be able to be a functioning adult, be able to move forward from working a very low income minimum wage job to actually being able to go to a community college. In fact, he does have a student now who is working in medical terminology at Forsyth Tech, who was unable to read and write, and she is now a medical terminology student that he is still working with today. So, yeah, but he does an excellent job. So he is always our first line that we refer to, and then we go through the steps of going through Forsyth Tech and recommending, whatever courses that people need. So,
Could you provide us the contact info for that
yes,
project?
I sure can. We have several flyers at the library. I'd be happy to email that to you, or I can
Great,
give
that'd
you
be
his
perfect.
cell phone number too. I'd be happy to send that to Shannon, and she could send it out
That'd
to
be great.
everyone.
Perfect.
Certainly, Jeff would be very happy to do that. So,
Okay,
yes, certainly.
That's the only question I had.
Okay.
I know you all want to move ahead, but I think the Walnut Cove Library has been involved with adult literacy for a long, long time, many, many years. There's a real tradition there, and try to have people feel very comfortable coming to the library, because it's going to be really intimidating if you can't read to go into a library. So, it's something we really value tremendously throughout the county and throughout our system. We also certainly want to get kids reading early, because that's where it starts, and certainly with all the children's programs and the summer reading program to keep kids from sliding backwards, because we know nationally, or statewide rather, that the third graders are reading at a lower level, unfortunately, than they were earlier. So I think we all have our work cut out for us, and we really believe that getting kids to enjoy reading and to love reading can really give them a leg up. But we certainly are concerned about people reading at all ages. So thank you for asking that.
I have a compliment and comment, Mr. Chairman, if
Go ahead,
I may,
Commissioner
please,
Walker.
before you kind of rejoin the audience. just looking at your classes, and I commend you for getting outside the usual and customary range of what's expected from a library. Your family garden club, for example, I like that. Got a good sound to it, and hopefully people will take advantage of it and learn to do something that can be very beneficial, grow their own food.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope it works out well. I wish you the best. And the Stokes Opportunity Center, I really applaud you for working with those folks as well. Quite an energetic bunch of citizens and some talent there. I've seen what they can do at times. And that brings me to another point, my comment. I'm a little bit, what's a good word for concern that's not using that exact word, curious, that people don't realize all that the libraries do. And I think you have an ongoing challenge to get the word out just what all's available from our libraries. I bet if you just went down the street asking people, what can you do at the library? Well, they have books and maybe one or two other things, but you do so much more. And I hope you'll come up with a way, a little bit of a challenge, if I may, please.
Thank you.
Hope you'll come up with a way of getting the word out more of all that you folks actually do.
Thank you so much. I think you've said it so well, and you have identified our challenge exactly. And you understand it, and we appreciate that. I think people take libraries for granted. They'll always be there, and they won't be if we don't take care of them and certainly have them change and develop and fund them, but also keep up with the times. And that's one reason we really like this Library Transform, because we really feel that can happen. And getting the word out is so important. I know the use of our website has increased quite a bit, and that reaches a lot of people in social media. And word of mouth, of course, is really powerful. But if you have any ideas, too, of ways we can help get the word out, please, we'd be very interested, and we'll certainly put our heads together and try to find more ways.
Appreciate all
Thank
you're
you
doing.
very much for your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Sir, Commissioner Young, do you have anything, or Commissioner Mendenhall?
I just want to say thanks for all you do, and Commissioner Walker hit exactly what I was going to say, which was I go to all the libraries in the county and was just down at One Cove and King last week. And what he said is exactly on par. If someone does not go into a library today, they don't know what they're missing. Because the library today is so different from a library 5 years ago. I mean, the way the transformation and the technology you have available and everything. So thanks for everything y'all do. Thank you.
Thank you. And, our libraries are not necessarily quiet all the time. And sometimes we're the quietest, and we don't really do a lot of shushing. But we want to have quiet places for people. But we see them as very vital parts of each community. Thank you so much.
I'd like to
Make
thank
it
y'all
possible.
for coming out here tonight, sharing this information with us. And Ms. Jones, is your head okay?
Yes, it's fine. That didn't show much sense there. I have a really hard head.
I want you to say, don't feel bad, because no matter I've been here, I walked into TV twice in the previous meeting, so I know how it is.
That makes me feel so much better. Thank you. It's really embarrassing to do that, so thank
No
you
worries
very
about
much. Yeah, I have a real hard head. Thank you.
Thank you guys so
I'll try not
much.
to do it again. Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too. We'll go ahead and move on to the discussion agenda. Just the one item on there. It's the King Library Board appointment. Mr. Oakley, would you like to take it, please?
What that is, Mr. Chairman, is the King Library would like to request that Sabrina Gatewood be appointed to the King Board to replace Scott Taylor, who is stepping down. So, Ms. Sheriff is here if you want to ask her any questions concerning Mrs. Gatewood, but I would just move forward with this appointment because she was the one who submitted this to us to be placed on here for her to be appointed in Mr. Taylor's place.
Okay. Is there any rush on this, or it has to be done at a certain
Just
time?
have to do the nominations, and then we'll put it on action for next time.
Okay. All right, I'll open the floor for nominations.
Nominate Sabrina Gatewood.
Move that the nominations be closed.
Can I second that?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. We'll move on now to our action agenda. The first item on there is the Friends of Stokes Shelter. Do I have a motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Motion, I have a second.
I'll second, at least for discussion, and exactly, I don't have it pulled up on my screen. If we vote to approve, exactly what are we approving?
You're approving the service contract that's in your agenda, as well as budget amendment number 47 in the amount of $49,602 as a one-time funding with the service agreement.
Could I get the highlights of the service agreement? Would you be willing to just give me some highlights on that?
Would you like for me to read the service agreement for you?
I looked over it, but if you would, go back over it. I'd like for the audience to hear it also.
Okay, this agreement is made and entered into by the Friends of Stokes Shelter Incorporated, herein called FOSS, and the the County of Stokes, herein referred to as the county, and shall commence upon the execution of both parties and shall remain in effect for a period of 12 months for the said commitment's date. Whereas the county is empowered by this North Carolina General Statute to provide for animal control and shelters within its boundaries, and whereas the county has need for additional facilities to provide for a shelter and adoption of stray and unwanted animals within the boundaries, and whereas FOSS was informed for the purpose of supporting the efforts of Stokes County Animal Shelter in adoption of stray and unwanted animals in Stokes County, and whereas FOSS built a new animal adoption center entirely through fundraising and gifts from private citizens, with the said center being near completion. That's correct, right? And whereas the funds raised by FOSS for the new animal adoption center were exalted in the construction phase of the project and are now wholly sufficient to provide for the payment of employees and staff in the center for making it operational. Said operational status begins required to apply for receive the grant to further fund said adoptional center. And whereas FOSS has asked Stokes County to make a one-time contribution of $49,602 for the purpose of assisting the adoption center in hiring a full-time employee and becoming operational. Whereas FOSS has agreed to allow open and transparent review of its financial records from the inception of this presentation and for the upcoming year. Now, therefore, the parties hereto agree to the following terms and conditions. The county agrees to make a one-time contribution of $49,602 to FOSS for the purpose of helping their new animal shelter adoption center become operational. FOSS agrees to use said funds for the purpose of hiring a full-time employee and opening their doors to the public as soon as possible. Work with Stokes County Animal Shelter to provide shelter and adoption services for stray and abandoned animals with Stokes County. Make regular monthly reports for the next 12 months for their status, operational budgets, expenses, income, grants, etc. to the Stokes County Board of Commissioners. Permits Stokes County to inspect their financial records at any time during the next 12 months. And in Article 3, the parties in mutual agreement as follows. FOSS agrees that it will save the county, it will hold the county hold harmless from any of all claims, suits, losses, damage, cost, or other expenses related to the operation of this new animal adoption center. It is understood and agreed that FOSS is an independent corporation, that the county is and that the county is not responsible for FOSS's governance or management, and the agreed that Stokes County, by entering into the agreement, assumes no responsibility for FOSS's debt of any kind or any way. That this agreement is not transferable or assignable by either party without written consent from the parties in agreements. This agreement constitutes the entire understanding of the parties and contains all the terms agreed upon with reference to the subject matter thereto. No modifications or revisions of this agreement shall be effective unless by written documentation signed by both parties in this agreement. And then you have the parties assigned to it, with the county manager signing for the commissioners, and then you would have the president of FOSS signing for those.
So what I'm understanding, Mr. Oakley, is they're asking for a one-time commitment of $49,602, one-time commitment.
That's correct.
And after that,
Yep.
they will take care of everything from there on.
And after that, they're saying they're hoping that everything is funded through grants and through public donations. And we hope that's what happens. And if anything comes up after that first year, then it would have to come back to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Oakley.
Thank you, sir. Is there any more discussion on this?
Question, please.
Sir.
If by some chance there were to be future funding by the county, this agreement states that the books are open for review for a year. So if there were future funding from the county, would that require another agreement?
The service agreement's just for 1 year.
Okay, very good, thank you.
And Mr. Browder, if there's anything that I'm not bringing to their light, as it should be, please speak up on this matter.
Commissioner Morris?
This monthly report they're gonna give us, is that just like a profit and loss or income statement updated each month? Is that what we're looking for? Something more than that?
It can be very detailed. It can be detailed as you want. It specifies for their status, operation, budget, expenses, income, grants. So it just depends on how much detail the board wants them to give. Certainly the financial profit and loss statement. But it's just basically to ensure that they're using the money for the operation of the center and for the pay this money.
If we had a profit and loss statement, we could pretty well answer most of these questions, couldn't we? That suffice for me unless the board wants something beyond that.
And of course, you might be able to know, if they have any projects for grants or
Okay. So like a profit and loss statement with a cover letter? Okay. It's fine with me if everybody else is good with that.
Mr. Walker, you look like you want to say something.
I'd like to add to what Commissioner Morris is saying about the information we'd be receiving. And I'd be interested in knowing the number of animals that the shelter has on any given month and the number of adoptions for the month, number of placements, as part of the information we'd be receiving.
That could be in the cover letter, probably.
I would think so. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Allen, anything you want to add?
Yeah, the only question that I have is for transparency purposes, would it be feasible to do 7 installments on this, or do we need to do it one time? In other words, it's going through June of next year from what I understand, right? So we're talking 7 months.
Yeah, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
So that we can hire.
Right.
We'll actually be spending the money in December.
Sure.
We'll be spreading it out.
Sure.
That is true.
Yeah.
But as long as there's a commitment, we can go ahead and hire somebody.
Right.
Like, we can get somebody going, and then we'll go around getting more money from other places to fill in the rest of our budget.
Is that going to create a problem? It's just something that I'm asking if we can break it up, and I don't know, I mean, obviously the rest of the,
Until that service agreement is signed, I cannot write a check.
right.
I mean, the budget amendment, y'all will approve, the money will be budgeted, but until that agreement's signed.
But what I'm asking is if we can alter it to state that it's a total of 49 in 7 installments of $7,086.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's whatever, how they, you want me to pay it.
I mean, I don't know how the rest of you feel. I just feel like that kind of gives us,
I guess as long as it doesn't interfere with the cash flow and.
right. I mean, I don't want it to do that, no.
Whatever amounts needed to.
Whatever, how they want me to pay it.
I guess you would be okay with that, right? Okay. No.
But it needs to be specified in that, though, we say, they're saying a one-time payment. If we're gonna split it out over so many months, then
Okay. It's just something I would feel a little better about myself. I mean, just throwing that out there as an option. So,
We can change it, we can definitely change it and have it to where it's like on the next agenda to be approved, or you, I don't know if you could make some kind of approval now of what you want it to say, and we move forward from that point. But right now, if you want this one thing, the item 1, under the agreement, then the county agrees to make a one-time contribution of $49,000. We'd need to state how you would want that to be.
okay.
So would a new resolution have to be typed up if we was to do it in installment payments like that?
Am I not correct, Mr. Browner?
Right. I would just need to know when the first installment would be made.
But we can alter this service agreement tonight.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't have to wait till the next meeting.
So we can
Alter it now, and we just make, we'll let Mr. Browder make the corrections that you want, and then we move forward with it.
Okay. And obviously, it's at the pleasure of the rest of you. It's just something I threw out as an idea that I had, so.
I agree with that.
Only concern is that the biggest problem businesses have is cash flow, or a lot of times, even if they're doing well. As long as we don't hamper that, then I don't think it matters how we do it. I mean, I'd go with that. If Leslie can do that 5-second analysis, and it's not gonna mess up your cash flow.
The commitment we want.
Right.
And
Okay.
we won't be issuing checks to employees until we hire somebody.
Okay,
So that will take some time.
Sure.
I'm fine with it then.
So,
Either way, it's a commitment for that total amount, so we enter either incrementally or one time, and the result's gonna be the same. But if it's
$86.
more acceptable for the other board members, I certainly have no problem.
So we'd need to state exactly when the first payment is to start.
I think for it to fall in the fiscal year to June, it would need to start December 1 and go through June 1, right?
last payment would be in June.
Right.
Sometime in December, sometime in June.
Yeah. Or maybe we make it the middle of the month, the 15th or whatever. December the 15th.
Now, does this require another motion and another second?
It will.
It will.
It will.
From the original motion?
Absolutely.
They want it the first of the month or the end of the month?
It doesn't matter.
First of the month or end of the month?
Let's do the first.
Do the first of the month, I think would be best.
Give some of the rest of the month too.
We're gonna have to come up with some kind of,
Okay.
Because I can send it up to the pages and our system. Automatically come on.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think what we'll have to have then is the motion remade with the changes that were enlisted by our commissioners and get a second, and we can proceed from there.
I think so. I'll remake the motion, redo the motion to include modification of the service agreement, where the payments instead of one lump sum are paid in, how many, seven incremental payments of how much?
$7,086.
$7,086 beginning with first payment on the 1st of December. Is that the only change we made?
Yes.
And I'll amend my second likewise.
Is there any more discussion on this? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Move on to the item B, the sales tax referendum. The commissioners, are two options for resolutions included. If the board decides to move forward with this, we need to have this approved by the next meeting on December 9th to make the deadline with the state for filing. We'll need to discuss and make any changes to the resolution that we choose to do, and can be moved forward to the next action agenda with the next meeting for any changes to the resolution.
Or if you come to an agreement, you can approve it tonight too. If you make some changes, just like you did the service contract just before, it can be changed and then done that way too. So whatever you choose. Yeah, give time.
Do I have a motion?
There's two resolutions, so
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to, or if you've
Please.
read over, there's a version 1 and a version 2.
please do. Mr. Chairman, can our clerk read both?
Yes, please.
Would you want to do that? Okay. And there's really only a little bit of difference in the two, just the wording in the first part. So I'll read fully the first one, and then the second one, we just add one line to the beginning. That's pretty much it. So the first version is the resolution calling on the Board of Elections to conduct an advisory referendum on Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020 on the question of whether to levy a 1/4% local sales and use tax in Stokes County pursuant to Article 46, Chapter 105 of the North Carolina General Statutes. Whereas the Stokes County Board of Commissioners desires to improve the safety and security in all the schools in the Stokes County school system, and whereas because of existing demands on county resources, it is not feasible to fund the expense of additional school safety and security from property taxes, and whereas additional sales tax revenue would lessen the burden on property owners by shifting some of the burden to non-property owners and non-residents who must pay sales tax on purchases made within Stokes County. And whereas such sales and use tax would be paid in part by non-residents of Stokes County who make purchases in Stokes County, thus lessening the burden on Stokes County residents for funding the expense of increased safety and security in the Stokes County schools. And whereas the North Carolina General Assembly has enacted the 1/4 county sales and use tax act as set forth in Article 46 of Chapter 105 of the North Carolina General Statutes, which authorizes counties to levy a 1/4% local sales and use tax. And whereas in order to levy the local sales and use tax, the County of Stokes must conduct a special advisory referendum on the question of whether to levy a 1% local sales and use tax, which election shall be held in accordance with the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 163-287. And whereas it is the intention of the Board of Commissioners of Stokes County to use the revenues from said 1/4% local sales tax and sales and use tax, if approved by the voters of Stokes County, to fund the cost of increasing the safety and security of all of the Stokes County schools. Now therefore let it be it resolved that by the Board of Commissioners of Stokes County, the Stokes County Board of Elections is hereby directed to conduct a special advisory referendum on March 3rd, 2020 on the question of whether to levy a 1/4% local sales and use tax, which election shall be held in accordance with the provisions of North Carolina General Statute 163-287, Section 2. The form of the question to be presented on the ballot for said advisory referendum shall be as follows: for or against local sales and use tax at the rate of 1/4% in addition to all other state and local sales and use tax. Section 3, the clerk to the Board of Commissioners of Stokes County is hereby authorized and directed to deliver a certified copy of this resolution to the Stokes County Board of Elections within 3 business days after the passage hereof. Be it further resolved that it is the intention of the Board of Commissioners of the county, Stokes County, to use the revenues from said 1/4 local sales and use tax, if approved by the voters of Stokes County, to fund the cost of increasing the safety and security of all the Stokes County schools. And then just the part with the signature. Be it further resolved, this resolution shall take effect upon its passage adopted this day of November. So that is the first version. The second version is pretty much the same, except for in the beginning of that one, the wording is, whereas the Stokes County Board of Commissioners desires to improve the safety and security in all the schools in Stokes County, in the Stokes County school system, and to reduce the property tax rate for all property owners of Stokes County. So that's really the difference in the two. That the only thing that changes from one version to the next. The second version includes the portion about that Commissioner Walker requested with the reduction of the property tax. So they read exactly the same other than that wording. So you just need to discuss which version you, or if any version you're interested in or changes you'd like to see.
Anybody on the board like to speak first?
I like version 1. Jimmy likes version 2.
Right where we were weeks ago. He won't budge, and neither will I.
Well, we're doing what you want to do by increasing sales tax. We're automatically reducing the burden on property tax.
It's sort of an intangible. And what I would like to see is wording that assures our taxpayers that we are paying attention to what they were telling you guys when you were out campaigning, and that they don't want to see their taxes raised. And version 1, all it does, it appears to me, is raise the taxes. It's for good cause. I have no qualms with school security. The more the better. And it becomes a matter of how much we can afford. Because, if we build 20-foot tall walls around all our schools with 14 sets of locked doors, that's a lot of security, but is it practical? Probably not. And is it affordable? Probably not. So we have to be looking at what we can afford and how we're going to fund it. But in the meantime, I get the message from our citizens. They don't want just new taxes. If I could just count over the years how many times I've heard, don't keep raising my taxes, or we're tired of taxes, tax increase and sneaky taxes that kind of are fees and that sort of thing. And all of a sudden you realize if you add everything up, you're paying a lot more than we used to. And people are kind of beginning to, I think, to notice this more and more. It takes money to run government, no doubt about it. After 30 years, give or take, in local government as a local elected official, I'm well aware of the cost of government. And I'm well aware of the cost that we have for schools. But, we fund our schools pretty well in this county. And if we compare what we're doing with most of our similar counties around, we're probably doing pretty well. But anyhow, I'm very much in favor of version 1. Version 2. Thank you, sir. And what I would like to see is something even more specific in it, like Forsyth County. They were considering a 1-cent tax increase, property tax increase. But if their 1/4-cent sales tax passes in Forsyth County, they're not going to implement that 1 cent. They're not going to continue the 1-cent property tax that would be implemented. And I would like to see something similar for our county. I'd like to see us promise our taxpayers, look, we've heard you. We've listened to you. We know what one of your main concerns is, and it's taxes. And we're trying to do something about it by shifting it, part of your property tax, which all of us who own property in Stokes County have to pay, to something more general, like a sales tax. And that can be doable. But I'm right where I was early in this process, would not really even have considered even getting to the point we're at, just another tax increase, just more taxes, unless there's something tangible, not intangible, but something tangible for our taxpayers. Look, if you pass this, here's what's going to happen with your property taxes. There's going to be a reduction. Now, I have no problem with additional funding for school security, and I think we can do both. I think we can lower our property tax rate by an amount, and as Commissioner Yachts pointed out earlier in the process, it won't be a large amount, but it'd be something in the right direction, and we can do more for our schools, version 2. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'll respond, or you other guys?
Go ahead.
You know, I'll just summarize my position. First of all, I think the taxpayers deserve an opportunity to vote on what the ratio of sales tax is to property tax. This will give them the opportunity to do that. I'm not going to get into any tax rate setting in December. I'll do that in June when the budget comes up. You know, what are we going to do if some world event happens in January and we plunge into a recession and we lose a half or third of our sales tax? Are you still going to reduce the property tax rate? No, it doesn't even make sense to me to have a tax rate discussion here in December when really all we need to do, this really needs to do is give the voters an opportunity to change the ratio of one to the other, which by definition, if approved, reduces the burden of property tax. And to me, I think that's a choice they deserve. That's all I have. I don't think
I have a question for Commissioner Morris, Mr. Chairman. And I think I've asked this before, and I'm not sure exactly the details of his response. But if we agree to do a lot of funding for the schools, and there's a downturn in the economy, wouldn't these be reoccurring expenses when you're hiring people and spending money in various ways? Wouldn't this be reoccurring? And if there were a downturn in the economy, what would that do if version 1 was implemented?
all it would do in version 1, if we had a downturn in or recession, it would reduce the amount of sales tax we get.
But your expenses continue.
Yeah, and then we'd have to adjust to whatever revenue we have to work with. We don't have a budget request yet, so I don't want to have a tax rate discussion until I know what is going to be requested in the budget.
Well, we only set the tax rate one time a year, and that is at the budget time.
Well, you're half setting it tonight if you say you're guaranteeing you're going to reduce it. To me, I'm not even sure that doesn't cross the line personally. But
well, if I was down in Forsyth County, because that's what they're doing.
All right, let's do this right here. We'll go ahead and end this right here. I'm going to go ahead and poll the board on which version they want to go with, and I'll start with Commissioner Morris.
Number 1.
2, please.
1.
I'll go with 1.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to go with 1 as well. So this right here is just putting into the voters' hands whether they see the need in it. We can put the stuff out there for it and let the voters decide on election day. So with that, do I have a motion?
Can I get a clarification?
Yes, sir.
With our attorney, 3 things I want to make sure that got clarification on before we vote on this. 1, this version here is going to the security and safety basically of the schools, but we did say it could be changed from year to year as to where we put it toward, correct? Might be this the first year, second year it could be something totally different, correct? That was number 1. Number 2, Julia, did you not say using comparable counties, and I think you used Jackson County that it could be anywhere from 800,000 to 1.4 million, somewhere in that range, that total range. And the third thing is we cannot in any way, when this goes on the ballot, we cannot tie anything to this on the ballot, correct? In other words, we can, that eliminates any type of coercion or anything of that nature. When they see this on the ballot, it's just going to say for or against, and the sales tax at 0.25%, correct?
Correct, that's dictated by statute.
So this is basically almost exactly the same version when I ran in 2016. Is this not basically about the same type? Okay.
Any more?
I have one other quick question. For Ty. Ty, this second whereas in here, let me read it to you. It says, whereas because of the existing demands on county resources, it is not feasible to fund the expense of additional school safety and security from property taxes. What exactly are we saying when we say it's not feasible? Does that lock us into anything? Or is that just a...
You're just making a statement that we just can't afford to up any based on the current tax structure.
But we're not saying we wouldn't under certain circumstances, are we? We're just saying it's an affordability issue. Okay. Okay, good. That's the only other question I had.
Thank you, sir. Any more questions or comments? Do I have a motion on version 1?
So moved.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
With that, do I have a motion to
Make a
adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
I need you to sign like 3 things and then you can run out of here.
Okay.